Hey everybody, Big Guy Games coming at you here with some massive news. We have our first spoilers for the new Alpha Clash set, Clashgrounds. I feel like crap, so sorry if my voice sounds a little more nasally than usual, but because I feel like crap, I was able to be up to catch these spoilers, and I immediately just started writing down what I could see. We're going to do a little bit of a breakdown of each card that we're able to actually see in the spoilers, or at least make out to the best of our abilities. There are some that are obstructed by packaging and etc., but we're going to go through each one right now, and we're going to start at the top of the list. The biggest card that I could see in this small selection is going to be the A10 Warthog. Now, there's a bunch of text on this card, but really, the only word that I immediately saw was in the bottom left. We have a new card type, everybody, and that would be Relic. So it is an accessory, and it is a relic. So that will go into your accessory zone. So let's go down and break down the card a little bit more here. So in black, so that'll be 4, costing 2 black resources at least. You will have a trigger of +1/+1 for all alpha hunters upon entering play. So that does allow Moxie to get a little bit bigger without the needing to buff her with the sidearms, heavy power armors, light power armors, binoculars, stuff like that. So that's a nice little buffer when it comes into play, but we are scratching the tip of the iceberg with this card here. Second ability, and this is huge. Alpha Clash cards cannot benefit or gain flight. That is massive. As an evasive card text, usually with flight, you're grounding so many different cards. New York City, I don't care anymore. You just get +2/+0. I'll block you on the ground all day. Like your Torques, you think of all the magnates that have flight. They're gone. No flight. Magnate the Tyrant, cool. He's a 5/3 body on the ground. I mean, still a great card. Magnate, just Magnate in the general. It benefits so much from flight and those big bodies, and now you're taking that away. If I'm a Magnate player, I'm running a card to handle stuff like this immediately. And then another whammy on the back end here is you can engage this card once a turn to deal 1 damage to target Clash card. Now, if it is an Alpha Clash card, it takes 2 instead. And this could be used in so many ways. So you're killing a good chunk of the weenies, even with Magnate's natural buff. So, Sonoros, T-Bones, Magnates, just stuff like that, they're all going to die instantly to this card just going, I'm going to go sideways. And on the flip side of that, let's say you have this and somehow red-black is a meta, you're buffing Torque. Who needs Boom when you could just sit there and do it yourself and not wipe your own board? This card is versatile. This card is powerful. This card is amazing, and it is the top of what we've seen right now and on my list. It's only 4, but this card is just bonkers. So moving on, the next thing we're going to take a look at is a new contender. We knew they were coming. We had no idea. We speculated, is it going to be Shadowlight? I was thinking Flare, any number of cards that we've seen minor representation in, but no contender for. Well, here's our first glimpse at the new contender, and it is going to be big man himself, Machina. Now, one thing that's immediately going to jump out to you is in the top right in bold numbers, 25. So normally your contenders are starting at 30 health. From what we've seen in the past with the Awakening, is 30 seemed to be the baseline. Here's your new baseline. Here's your new variants in this stuff. And that's, again, we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg. Each one of these cards seems so nuts. So we're going to go into his abilities. Now, his first ability, as far as I can make out, because there is some packaging in the way and the image is not exactly the highest quality, is send non-trap accessory you control to Oblivion. Deal 2 damage to either a contender or a Clash card, and then draw a card. Now, one thing that immediately stood out to me is we see one relic with the A10 Warthog. What are some other relics? Why is he so keen to get rid of it non-trap accessories? Am I going to throw handguns at him from Moxie or Clarity? And please let let mocking his rock be a relic. I want to throw rocks at people. That card art from Awakening, I need that rock, and I need to throw it at people so I can deal damage to them. Please and thank you. And just even on that first ability, depending on what kind of relic support we get, that seems pretty brutal. Again, that 2 damage is such a big number in a game where you're not dealing with super high health totals, and because it is non-clash damage, it sticks for the entire turn, opening them up to other things. Like if, oh my gosh, they've got Grant Park Chicago out and I need to get rid of this big threat on their board, but it's above Grant Park Chicago. Cool, I'll just throw a relic or a weapon at them, and boom, that's going to bring them right down into that boom range in red, and you're cooking with fire there. And then the second one, again, as far as I can make out, I don't know when this health will trigger. So I don't know if it's going to be 10. Is it going to be 15? Like if you kind of could see the left side there, you've got Mean Streak, and I think that says 15, but I don't know for sure, so I won't say, is if an accessory you control is sent to Oblivion from play, target Clash card you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, that is, it seems less impactful, but here's the thing is, if you're doing the first thing, you're triggering the second thing at 15 health. The fifth, or whatever the health it is. In the other ones, it seems like the more powerful ability was kind of on the bottom, but this one, it almost feels like the more powerful ability is on top, and then the second ability is just going to play into that and make it feel even better. So let's say you throw a relic at Torque of the Uncontrollable. Cool. You just buffed your Torque. And now you can also give him another +1/+1. So potentially, if depending on what you throw at him, you're getting +3/+3 onto a card. And that's just, a strategy that comes into mind from seeing what I've played against so far. That seems so good. I can't even believe it. So if this is what we're getting now, what is the rest of this set going to look like? What are we staring down the barrel of here? We've had 2 cards that are just going to completely change the game released right away. And we're going to move on to the third, which is going to be the new Clashground, which is going to be New York. But it is called The Last Stand. Now, interesting thing here. This is 3 white, but it has no required color cost. So, and we will get to that later, because it's kind of interesting. So, Alpha Hunter and Rogue cards you get, or you have +0/+1 right out of the gate. So that's a nice defensive boost there for those cards. Again, getting out of some kill ranges right away. Not the biggest stat boost. Now, and another huge thing that this is going to add to the game is rogues that obstruct can just ready up afterwards. So your rogue cards can effectively block 2 cards a turn. 2 cards a turn. Lyn the Nanite Warrior. 2 cards a turn. Lyn, Adaptable Fighter. 2 cards a turn. Think of all of the rogues out there. I mean, even your Clarities can get pretty beefy. Haven, you can block with Haven twice. Heck, why not? But in the bottom of the card is where we get to the interesting part of the cost. You're not going to just be splashing this, because in order to play it, you must control either a Alpha Hunter or a Rogue card. So instead of having to pay colors, you're paying in allegiances here, guys. So that is a very interesting change-up. I actually really like this. We've had some decent costed cards, or cards that you want to splash in but you don't want to play because like Haven in like any other color, Haven, Bountiful Collector in any other color, if it said, hey, you had to play, you can only play this if you're running a certain allegiance, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And I think that's exactly where this card falls into. I don't expect how, unless there's more insanity hidden in this set, how this card is not run pretty commonly. Like, this seems like a very powerful Clashground. And then lastly, we have Mean Streak Boosted. Now, this is the card I had the hardest time reading, so a lot of this is pure speculation. The packaging was my worst enemy in trying to decipher him, just because the logo covers up so much of his first ability and his second ability that I can't read. And again, these images are out of focus. So right now I can tell you, I don't know his starting health. I would guess 25, but if it's 30, neat. Because that would make this even more interesting, because his 25 health ability is all Clash cards get an attack trigger and a once per turn primary phase trigger as well. So you can double up on the triggers and you get a buff all around for your Clash cards. And then again, with the grainy image, I can't make out this health total here. I want to say it's 15. And he immediately negatively affects your opponent's Clash cards. So we're hitting their opponent as a wide debuff that they can't do anything about. So what is the end of that text? I can't read it. Is it -1, -0? Is it, something to deal with their abilities? Like, what's going on here? And another thing I find very interesting is that his allegiance is covered up. In the Machina card, you could definitely make out the alpha symbol on the bottom right there. And the way they've positioned the packaging in the preview image, you cannot make out Mean Streak. Because if you look at the Last Stance promo image, it has Mean Streak standing with Moxie, Clarity, and Haven, which in the Awakening, he is considered an alpha. Does he switch teams? Is he going over to the rogue side? Because I could totally see it. Because we didn't have alpha versus alpha in the Awakening. It was alpha hunters versus alphas. I really think Mean Streak is going rogue. So that is what I've been able to gather from the newest preview images we have for Alpha Clash Clashgrounds. I loved breaking these down. Again, I feel like crap, but now my brain is going 100 miles an hour trying to think of what else they could be throwing in this set. I am so pumped, guys. I can't wait. Hopefully we get some more card spoilers here soon. I'll be covering them as fast as I can. You all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.